This video was produced by the UCD Maths Support Centre in conjunction with the UCD Access Centre. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an applied example of the equation y equals mx plus c. So our example reads that the equation of a company's total cost of producing a product is TC, total cost in thousands of euros, is equal to 0.5 Q plus 5, where Q is the quantity produced in 10,000 unit batches. So what we see here is that we just need to compare our y equals mx plus c to the equation that we're given. And what we have then is that TC corresponds to our y and our Q corresponds to our x. So now we'll take a look at what our question is asking us to do. So the first part is simply to graph the total cost equation. So our equation TC equals 0.5 Q plus 5. So if we take that equation and we compare it to our y equals mx plus c, we can see that the c in our case is 5, and we can also see that our m is the number in front of x. In general, our x is q, so the number in front of q, which is a half, is our m, our slope. So once we know that, we can plot a graph, but instead of x and y, we have q, which is in tens of thousands, and we have TC, which is in thousands of euro. So we know it cuts the axis at 5, and we know our slope is a half, so a half is our rise over our run, which means that we're going to go across 2 from 5 and up 1 to get our second point on our line, and then we can draw in our straight line and label it with our equation TC equals 0.5 Q plus 5. One last thing of note is that when I drew my line, I did not include a line here on the left hand side, because if you look at our x-axis, it represents Q, the quantity we produce, and it wouldn't really make much sense to say that we produced a negative number of units. So for this reason, we don't include this part of our line. The next part of the question asks us to interpret the equation a little bit, and asks us, what does the slope in our equation represent? So from the graph and the equation, we saw that our slope m is 0.5, or 1/2. This means that for every 10,000 units produced, the cost of production increases by 500 euro, or 0.5 times 1,000 euro, because we were told that the cost increases in units of 10,000. This is our variable cost, the cost that changes depending on how many units we produce. Then we're asked what the 5 in our equation represents. This is the fixed cost. This means that regardless of how many units are produced, there is a fixed cost of 5,000 euro. This might be things like premises, rent, if you're renting a factory, cost of machinery, cost of wages for workers, etc. And that's the end of that question.